County are ready to battle for academic achievement. Who will emerge victorious? Stay tuned. It's Spring Brawl, now in its 16th year of academic competition. Presented by the Duval County Public Schools, Dr. Larry L. Zinke, Superintendent. Here is your host, Tom Welsh.
Welcome back. This match features teams from Mandarin High School and Robert E. Lee High School. Let's meet the teams. First for Mandarin High School, we have Sylvia Brennan, Dominique Roberts. The team captain is Jason Barrett and Zach Vickery. For Lee High School, Chris Allen, Chris Donovan. The team captain is John Arntz and Russell Mitchell. Mandarin's team is coached by David Debs, and Lee's team is coached by Anathet Durham and Ramsey Mead. Our officials are from the IBM Corporation, who will be donating that computer to the winner of our overall competition this year. Let's review the rules. Toss-up is worth 4 points and a bonus 10 points, but you must answer the toss-up correctly in order to try for the bonus. If I'm interrupted by a member of either team during the reading of a toss-up, I'll stop and ask for an answer. If that answer is incorrect, 2 points will be awarded to the opposing team score. Then that team will have the opportunity to answer the question when it's repeated. They get 5 seconds to answer a toss-up and 20 seconds to answer a bonus. With the rules down, teams, good luck. Here's your first toss-up. Name the 18th century English author of The Vicar of Wakefield. Yes, Chris?
Goldsmith.
That's correct. The bonus is worth 4 points each, or 10 points for both. Identify the following plays by James Baldwin. First is the story of a successful young black man who's a singer in New York, but who returns to the South and is murdered by a white man. And second is the story of a woman evangelist torn between religious fanaticism and love of her footloose, jazz-playing husband. For 4 points each, or 10 points for both, identify the following plays by James Baldwin. First is the story of a successful young black man who's a singer in New York, but who returns to the South and is murdered by a white man. And the second is the story of a woman evangelist torn between religious fanaticism and love of her footloose, jazz-playing husband.
One is Go Tell It on the Mountain, and 2 is The Jazz Singer.
The first is Blues for Mr. Charlie, and the second is the Amen Corner for no points. But you need your pencils for this toss-up. An isosceles trapezoid has 3 congruent sides. The fourth side is 5 centimeters longer than the other 3. If the perimeter is 33 centimeters, find the length of the congruent sides. Jason?
7.
Yes, sir. The bonus is worth 4 points each, or 10 points for both. Given the monomials 18xy squared and negative 30x cubed y, find the following. First, the greatest common factor. Second, the least common multiple. For 4 points each, or 10 points for both, given the monomials negative 18xy squared and negative 30x cubed y, find the following. First, the greatest common factor, and second, the least common multiple. Those monomials, again, are negative 18xy squared and negative 30x cubed y.
The greatest common factor is negative 6xy. $90x cubed y squared for the other.
Judge? Can't take the first one. 6xy, not negative 6xy, but the second one is correct for 4 points. Toss up. A solution with pH 2 is how many times more acidic than a solution with pH 6? Yes, Chris?
2.
No, that's incorrect. Mandarin. Jason?
1,000.
10,000. Another toss-up. In what nation is the island of Java? Zach?
Indonesia.
Yes. The bonus is worth 4 points each, or 10 points for both. Identify the parts of a tapeworm. First, the head of the tapeworm, which has hooks and suckers. Second, the long, ribbon-like body segments. For 4 points each, or 10 points for both, identify the parts of a tapeworm. First, the head of the tapeworm, which has hooks and suckers. And second, the long, ribbon-like body segments.
Number 2 is the thorax. Bob Dole for number 1.
Scolex for the first, proglotted for the second, for no points. Toss up. Name the author who considered his works The Third Man and Our Man in Havana mere entertainments as opposed to the serious novel. John?
Hemingway.
No, that's incorrect. I'll give a 2-point penalty to Mandarin, and I'll repeat the question. Name the author who considered his works The Third Man and Our Man in Havana mere entertainments as opposed to the serious novel The Power and the Glory. The name you're searching for is Graham Greene. Another toss-up, and you'll need the pencils. What do we call a rectangle whose length divided by its width is always 1 plus the square root of 5 over 2? John?
Golden rectangle?
That's it. The bonus is worth 4 points each, or 10 points for both. What were the names for these translations of the Bible? First is the first translation of the Old Testament into Greek, and second is St. Jerome's translation of the Bible into Latin. For 4 points each, or 10 points for both. What were the names for these translations of the Bible? First is the first translation of the Old Testament into Greek. Second is St. Jerome's translation of the Bible into Latin.
St. Greek's Bible. Number 1, St. Peter's Bible, and 2 is the King James Bible.
Septuagint for the first, Vulgate for the second, for no points. Another toss-up. In what type of covalent bond does one atom attract the shared pair of electrons more strongly than the other? Jason?
Polar.
Yes. The bonus is worth 2 points each, or 10 points for all four. Name the authors of the following science fiction works. First, Dune. Second, Foundation. Third, 2001: A Space Odyssey. And fourth, The Puppet Makers. For 2 points each, or 10 points for all four. Name the authors of the following science fiction works. First, Dune. Second, Foundation. Third, 2001: A Space Odyssey. And fourth, The Puppet Makers.
Number 2 is Asimov. Number 3 is Clark. Asimov for 1 and 4.
Judge, I have 2 corrects. First is Herbert, second Asimov, third Clark, and fourth Heinlein. 2 correct for 4 points. Toss-up. Gulag Archipelago is the title of a work by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. What is an archipelago in geography? Zach?
A group of islands.
That's it. The bonus is worth 4 points each, or 10 points for both. Given the following statement, if I am sleeping, then I am breathing. First, what is the inverse? And second, what is the contrapositive? For 4 points each, or 10 points for both. Given the following statement, if I am sleeping, then I am breathing. First, what is the inverse? And second, what is the contrapositive?
Okay. Number 1 is if I'm breathing, then I am sleeping. Number 2 is if I am not breathing, then I am not sleeping.
Number 2 is I'm dead, but I agree with what you said. The first is if I am not sleeping, then I am not breathing. So we have 1 correct for 4 points. Toss up. What Spanish artist painted The Three Musicians in 1921? Russell?
Picasso?
Yes, sir. The bonus is worth 4 points each, or 10 points for both. What name is given to each of the following processes? First, pouring a liquid so that sediment in the bottom of the container is not disturbed. And second, the combining of 2 or more pure orbitals of nearly the same energy to form 2 or more identical orbitals of equal energy. For 4 points each, or 10 points for both. What name is given to each of the following processes? The first is pouring a liquid so that sediment in the bottom of the container is not disturbed. Second, the combining of 2 or more pure orbitals of nearly the same energy to form 2 or more identical orbitals of equal energy.
Explain it now. 1 is sedimentating and orbitating. Orbation.
Decantation for the first, and hybridization for the second, for no points, but imaginative answers. Toss up. Name the 20th century American playwright who has written such plays as Toys in the Attic, Another Part of the Forest, and Watch on the Rhine. Chris?
Tennessee Williams.
No, that's incorrect. Mandarin? Jason?
Arthur Miller.
Lillian Hellman. You need your pencils for this toss-up. In the trig rule, c squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cosine c, what law results if c equals 90 degrees? Jason?
Pythagorean theorem.
That's it. The bonus is worth 4 points each, or 10 points for both. Answer these questions about James Madison. First, at the Constitutional Convention in 1789, Madison authored a plan that was pivotal to the discussion. Name this plan. Second, what epithet do we apply to Madison as a result of his efforts at the Constitutional Convention? For 4 points each, or 10 points for both, answer these questions about James Madison. First, at the Constitutional Convention in 1789, Madison authored a plan that was pivotal to the discussion. Name this plan. And second, what epithet do we apply to Madison as a result of his efforts at the Constitutional Convention?
Number 1 is the Great Compromise. Number 2 is the Great Compromiser.
The Virginia Plan for the first, and Father of the Constitution for the second, for no points. Once again, the pencils for this toss-up. What is the mass of an object that is accelerated at 25 meters per second squared by a force of 125 newtons? Jason?
5.
Yes, sir, that's correct. Bonus is worth 4 points each, or 10 points for both. A famous 17th century Dutch artist used a technique of controlling lights and shadow by providing illumination sources such as the candles within his artworks. Name first the artist and second the technical term for the control of light and shadow that he used. For 4 points each, or 10 points for both, a famous 17th century Dutch artist used a technique of controlling lights and shadow by providing illumination sources such as candles within his artworks. Name first the artist and second the technical term for the control of light and shadow that he used.
Number one's Rembrandt. No answer for number 2.
It is indeed Rembrandt, and the technical term was chiaroscuro, so we have one correct for 4 points. That's the end of the first round. Before we look at the score, let's meet the team players from Mandarin High School. First, we'll start out with Sylvia Brennan. Sylvia's a senior at Mandarin. She plays varsity softball and is the pitcher. She wants to attend the University of Florida with Dominique, who is next to her and wants to major in architectural drafting. Which brings us to Dominique. She wants to attend the University of Florida in the fall to pursue a career of law. She's a 17-year-old student at Mandarin High School. She has a brother who attends FCCJ. Other activities are Earthwatch, Key Club, drama, and others. She also works at the Avenues Mall. Next, team captain Jason Barrett. He's a senior, 6 years in academic competition, including last year's all-county academic team. He's a National Merit semifinalist and is listed in Who's Who in American high schools. Jason plans to attend the University of Florida and major in philosophy and psychology. And in the last chair is Zach Vickery. Jack is a sophomore, but with 3 years of experience in academic competition. He enjoys tennis, computers, and science fiction novels. Zach plans to attend Florida and major in engineering. Those are the team players from Mandarin High School. Now let's look at the score. Mandarin has 42 points. Lee has 12 points. Both teams have elected to stay with their starting lineups. The rules in this round remain the same, so let's continue. Toss-up. With which American president do we associate the motto, "To make the world safe for democracy"? Jason?
Woodrow Wilson.
That's correct. The bonus is worth 4 points each, or 10 points for both. Identify the authors of the following novels. First, Frankenstein, and second, Dracula. For 4 points each, or 10 points
we
for
have
both.
an answer. Number one's Mary Shelley. Number 2 is Bram Stoker.
That's correct. Toss up. Name the poet who wrote these lines. This is my letter to the world that never wrote... Yes, Jason?
Emily Dickinson.
That's it. The bonus is worth 10 points. Solve for x. 3x cubed minus 6x squared equals 144x. Give all possible answers. For 10 points, solve for x. 3x cubed minus 6x squared equals 144x. Give all possible answers.
Zero.
We needed all three of them. The first one you gave was right, but it's not going to get you any points. 0, -6, and 8 is what you probably came up with, but not enough time and no points. Toss up. What quantity is found by finding the slope of a tangent line for a point on a distance versus... Yes, Jason?
Derivative.
No, that's incorrect. 2-point penalty. I'll repeat for Lee. What quantity is found by finding the slope of a tangent line for a point on a distance versus time curve? The quantity that is found is instantaneous velocity. Another toss-up. When 1 coulomb of charge travels through 1 volt of potential difference, the work that it does is equal to what unit of measure? Chris?
A joule?
That's a joule. The bonus is worth 4 points each and 10 points for both. Identify the following types of chemical formula. First is a formula which indicates the kind, number, arrangement, and valence bonds of the atoms in a molecule. The second is a formula that denotes the constituent elements of a substance and the simplest whole number of atoms composing one molecule. For 4 points each or 10 points for both, identify the following types of chemical formula. First is a formula which indicates the kind, number, arrangement, and valence bonds of the atoms in a molecule. The second is a formula that denotes the constituent elements of a substance and the simplest whole number of atoms composing one molecule.
1 is structural, 2 is empirical.
That's 10 points. Toss up. Who is the judge in an impeachment trial of the president? John?
Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court.
That's it. The bonus is worth 2 points each or 10 points for all four. Tell whether these administrative positions are elected or appointed here in Jacksonville. First, the mayor. Second, the superintendent of schools. Third, the city council. And fourth, the tax collector. For 2 points each or 10 points for all four, tell Tell whether these administrative positions are elected or appointed in Jacksonville. The mayor, the superintendent of schools, the city council, the tax collector.
1 is elected, 2 is appointed, 3 is elected, and 4 is elected.
That's correct, 10 points. Who's the composer of the instrumental suite named The Carnival of the Animals? Jason?
Haydn.
No, that's incorrect. Does Lee have an answer? Chris?
Verdi?
No, that's the work of Camille Saint-Saëns. Another toss-up. Name the author of the series of books featuring Natty Bumppo as the... Yes, Russell?
Cooper.
Judge? Okay, we'll accept the answer. The bonus is worth 2 points each or 10 points for all 4. Identify the Shakespearean play with which each of the following settings is associated. First, Verona. Second, Elsinore. Third, Inverness. And fourth, Plains of Sardis. For 2 points each or 10 points for all 4, identify the Shakespearean play with which each of the following settings is associated. Verona, Elsinore, Inverness, and Plains of Sardis.
This one? No, it's not even.
1 is Romeo and Juliet, 2 is Othello, 4 is Julius Caesar, 3 is Macbeth.
The first is Macbeth, the second is Romeo and Juliet, the third is Julius Caesar, and the fourth is Hamlet for no points. You need your pencils for this toss-up. Name the next term in the progression 20, 15, 11, 8, and so... Yes, Jason?
4.
No, that's incorrect. Does Lee have an answer? John?
6.
6 is the one. The bonus is worth 10 points. Insert 3 arithmetic means between 3 and 12. For 10 points, insert 3 arithmetic means between 3 and 12.
Say 4, 8, 10.
4, 8, and 10.
5 1/4, 7 1/2, and 9 3/4 for no points. Toss up. What is the simplest unit of repetition called in a crystalline structure? Jason?
A facet.
No, that's incorrect. Does Lee have an answer? That is a unit cell. In 1868, the Emperor of Japan was restored to power through the Meiji Restoration and moved the capital of the country. Yes, Russell?
Tokyo.
That's the name of the capital city. Yes, Tokyo. The bonus is worth 4 points each or 10 points for both. The narrow band where living matter exists on Earth is called the biosphere, which interacts with 3 non-living spheres, of which one is the atmosphere. Identify the sphere that contains, first, the soil, rocks, and other materials that make up the crust of the Earth. Second, the waters of the Earth, both salt and fresh. For 4 points each or 10 points for both. The narrow band where living matter exists on Earth is called the biosphere, which interacts with 3 non-living spheres.
We have an answer.
Yes.
1 is lithosphere, and 2 is bathysphere.
Hydrosphere for the second, but the first is correct for 4 points. Toss up. A missile raid warning provides a false alarm, but by accident one group of bombers is not recalled and heads on to Moscow in which novel by Eugene Burdick and Harvey Wheeler? John?
Mission to Moscow?
No, that's incorrect. Does Mandarin have an answer? The name of the book was Failsafe. You'll need your pencils for these toss-up. What are the polar coordinates of the point with Cartesian coordinates, -2, 0? The answer is 2 pi, another toss-up. Jean van Helmont was the first scientist to use the word gas to describe the various airs or vapors that alchemists had obtained in their experiments. Gas is the Flemish word meaning what? Jason?
Nothing.
Judge? His answer was nothing. No, we can't accept that. Lee? Chris?
Space?
Chaos. That's why we were not quite sure about the other answer. Toss up. Name the German province which would develop under Hohenzollern rule into the state of Prussia. That is Brandenburg. What word is used to refer to a building with columns on all sides? That is peripteral. Name the novel written by Alice Walker, which was used as a basis for a movie in which Danny Glover, Whoopi Goldberg, and Oprah Winfrey starred. Zach?
The color purple.
That's it. The bonus is worth 4 points each, or 10 points for both. Answer the following questions about Canada. First, in which province would you find the capital of Canada? Second, name Canada's most northern territory. For 4 points each, or 10 points for both. Answer the following questions about Canada. In which province would you find the capital of Canada? And second, name Canada's most northern territory.
Number 1's Quebec, and number 2 is the Northwest Territory.
Number 1 is Ontario, but Northwest Territories is correct for 4 points. You need your pencils for this toss-up. Two chords intersect within a circle to form an angle of 75 degrees. If one intercepted arc is 60 degrees, what is the other intercepted arc? Time's up, 90 degrees. Toss-up. Tectonic plates, which compose the Earth's lithosphere, are very large, solid pieces which completely cover what part of the Earth on which they float? Chris?
Continents.
No, that's incorrect. Mandarin? Zach?
A mantle.
Mantle is correct. The bonus is worth 4 points each, or 10 points for both. In the movie production of The Sound of Music, who played first Captain Von Trapp and second Maria? For 4 points each, or 10 points for both. In the movie production of The Sound of Music, who played Captain Von Trapp and Maria?
Julie Andrews for number 2.
Julie Andrews, we got in inside the bell. That will work for number 2. The first was Christopher Plummer, so that's one correct for 4 points. Toss-up. Who was the first king in the Bourbon family to rule in France? Yes, Chris?
Louis the Fourth.
No, that's incorrect. Does Mandarin have an answer? Henry the Fourth. You need your pencils for this toss-up. What is the amplitude of the function y equals cosine x? Chris?
1.
Yes. The bonus is worth 4 points each, or 10 points for both. Identify the authors who created the following characters. First, Nancy and Bill Sykes and Mr. Bumble. And second, Tom and Noah Jode and Lenny Small. For 4 points each, or 10 points for both. Identify the authors who created the following characters. First, Nancy and Bill Sykes and Mr. Bumble. And second, Tom and Noah Jode and Lenny Small.
You know?
Two is Steinbeck.
Again.
One is Steinbeck.
No, one is Dickens. Number 2, Steinbeck, was correct. That's one correct for 4 points. And that's the end of the round. Before we check the score, let's meet the team players from Lee High School. First, we have Chris Allen. Chris is a junior. This is his second year in academic competition. He's active in the Interact Club, the Bible Club, baseball, and writing music. Chris plans to attend the University of Florida and major in pre-med. Next, we have Chris Donovan. Chris is a junior. This is his third year in academic competition. He's active in soccer, football, cross-country, track, the Interact Club, and the German Club. He's secretary of the Student Council. Chris plans to attend Georgia and major in veterinary medicine. John Arnst is the team captain. He's a sophomore, but this is his 5th year in academic competition. He's active in Boy Scouts, Bible Club, Latin Club, enjoys computers and reading about World War II. John plans to attend Michigan State, Florida State, or MIT, and major in computer science. And finally, in the last chair is Russell Mitchell, a sophomore. This is his 2nd year in academic competition. He's active in Interact and the German Club and enjoys video games and computers, reading and writing comic books. Russell plans to attend Florida State and write comic books professionally. And those are the team players from Lee High School. Let's take a look at the score. Mandarin has 76 points. Lee has 72 points, an extremely close game. We did have to make a score adjustment for you Shakespearean folks. That question as to where the Shakespearean plays took place was obviously wrong. Lee got 6 points for that. Let's move now into our lightning round, which is worth 4 points if answered correctly, 4 points if the other team answers correctly. 2 minutes or 25 questions. This is close. Here we go. What are basic assumptions in mathematics called? John?
Postulates.
Yes. What term is used to describe the temperature at which the vapor pressure of the liquid is equal to standard atmosphere? Jason?
Equilibrium.
No. Boiling point. On a map, what name is given to lines that mark areas of equal elevation? Jason?
Isobars.
Yes. In which quadrant is the point -3, -9 graphed? Jason?
3rd.
Yes. In a 3, 4, 5 right triangle, what is the tangent of the smallest angle? That is 3/4. What Greek letter in an equation means change of? Zach.
Delta.
Yes. What position did Aaron Burr hold when he shot Alexander Hamilton? Zach.
Well, he shot him, or
He was vice president. Name the Egyptian god of the underworld. Jason.
Osiris.
Yes. What is the log base 10 of .0001? Jason.
-3.
No, -4. What is the symbol used to represent a water solution? Jason.
Aqueous. Or aqueous.
AG. In what area of Africa did the Great Trek occur? South Africa. Name the goddess who warded Odysseus to the suitors who have taken over his house. Chris.
Athena.
Yes. Given y equals the natural logarithm of x, what is the domain of this function? Positive real numbers. Name the largest ocean on the earth. John.
Pacific.
Yes. By what name does history know French Protestants? John.
Huguenots.
Yes. The Lives of noble Grecians and Romans was written by which ancient biographer and moral philosopher? Jason.
Plutarch.
Yes. The branch of calculus that involves finding area under a curve is what? That is integral. What general term refers to the process by which all materials are taken into a cell? Endocytosis. Who was the first Roman emperor? John.
Augustus.
More specific.
Augustus Caesar.
Yes. That's the end of our Brain Brawl lightning round. Let's take a look at the final score. Mandarin has 96 points. Lee has 108 points. In a close-fought match, the winner of this match is Robert E. Lee Senior High School. In Brain Brawl competition, a team stays in until it's lost twice, so we'll be seeing the fine team from Lee High School playing again in future rounds. We congratulate Mandarin on job well done as they retire from competition. Join us next week when teams from Douglas Anderson meet Sandalwood and Ed White meets Parker here on Brain Brawl. Until then, I'm Tom Welsh. Thanks for joining us. And remember, in Duval County, education's a family affair.